Jeremiah, chapter 6. O children of Benjamin, gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem. Blow a shofar in Tekoa, and set up a signal fire in Beth Hakerem, for evil has been seen from the north, and great destruction. I shall cut off the lovely and delicate one, the daughter of Zion. The shepherds with their flocks shall come to her, they shall pitch their tents against her all around. They shall pasture, each one in his own place. Set apart battle against her. Arise, and let us go up at noon. Woe to us, for the day goes away, and for the shadows of the evening are lengthening. Arise, and let us go by night, and let us destroy her palaces. For thus said Yahweh of hosts, cut down her trees, and cast up a siege mound against Jerusalem. She is the city to be punished, and we'll see why in a moment, in whose midst there is only oppression. As a well flows with water, so she flows with her evil. Violence and destruction are heard in her. Before me continually are suffering and smiting. Be instructed, O Jerusalem, lest my soul be torn from you, lest I make you a waste, a land not inhabited. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, let them thoroughly glean, as a vine, the remnant of Israel. Pass your hand again over the branches, like a grape gatherer. Vine and the branches. Where have we heard that before? Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 5. Yeshua speaking. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. So Yeshua is the true vine. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, let them thoroughly glean as a vine the remnant of Israel. Yeshua says, I come first, but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What is the renewed covenant in Hebrews chapter 8? So new that it comes out of Jeremiah chapter 31, the Old Testament. That the house of Israel will have, Israel, us. That's what we're grafted into, Romans 11, verse 16. That Israel would have the Father's laws in our mind and written on our heart, and then he will be our Elohim, and we will be his people, and he will remember our sins and our lawlessness no more. 1 John 3, verse 4, sin is lawlessness. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, let them thoroughly glean as a vine, the remnant of Israel. What does Yeshua say in John 15? I am the true vine, the remnant of Israel. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. Every branch in me, in Yeshua, that bears no fruit, he takes away. Oh, so you believe in him, but are you bearing fruit? Faith without works is dead. James, Jacob, the literal blood brother of Yeshua. You say you have faith. I will show you my faith by my works, and works bear good fruit. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, so that it bears more fruit. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it bears more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Capital W, word. What word do you think is that? Well, we'll see. We will get to that in verse 19 of chapter 6 of Jeremiah. Because they have not listened to my words, nor my Torah. They rejected it. So Yeshua says, you are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What word was that? Yeshua comes not to destroy the Torah or the prophets, but to complete it. Matthew 5:17. For truly, truly, I say unto you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one jot or yod, not one tittle shall fall from the Torah till all be done. The word is the Torah. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Meaning you're not sinning, because sin is lawlessness. 1 John 3 verse 4. Stay in me and I stay in you. As the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself unless it stays in the vine, so neither you unless you stay in me. I am the vine, and you are the branches. I am Yisrael, Israel, and you are the branches, the remnant of Israel here in Jeremiah. He who stays in me, and I in him, he bears much fruit, because without me, you are able to do nothing. If anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you stay in me, and my words, capital W, words, stay in you. What words? The Torah made flesh, the Word made flesh, Yeshua. If you stay in me, and my words stay in you, you shall ask whatever you wish, and it shall be done for you. That's an if-then statement. In this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and you shall be my taught ones, my apostles. As the Father has loved me, I have also loved you. Stay in my love. How should we stay in Yeshua's love? Well, let's take it from his mouth. Verse 10, if you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commands and stay in his love. Yeshua guarded his Father's commands. Yeshua kept the Torah perfectly. We know this because he was without sin. And sin is lawlessness, 1 John 3 verse 4. Yeshua was without lawlessness. That means he was with the law. There was no sin in him. There was no transgression of the law in him. This is all biblical, by the way. It might not be church doctrine, but I don't care what men said. I care what the Bible says. This is all biblical, and I'm giving you the proof texts that hopefully you can see this for yourself. If you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commands and stay in his love. And I've had people say to me, well, I'm guarding Jesus' commands, Yeshua's commands. Love your neighbor and love God. Okay, well, both of those are Torah, by the way. Matthew 22, I believe it is. So look at that real quick. Matthew 22:36. Teacher, Rabbi, speaking to Yeshua, what is the greatest command in all the Torah? And Yeshua said to him, you shall love Yahweh your Elohim in all the Torah. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind, which is Deuteronomy 6 verse 5. This is the first and great command. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 19 verse 18. On these two commands hang all the Torah and the prophets. It doesn't mean that if you do those two things, you don't have to do all the Torah and the prophets. It means that these are the cornerstones of everything that's in the Torah and the prophets. So if you guard my commands, John 15:10, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commands, kept the Torah, and stay in his love. Lastly, I'll say, if we believe that Yeshua was Yah made flesh, how could Yeshua's commands be any different than Yah's commands? Because Malachi 3 verse 6, I'm the Lord Yahweh Sabaoth, I change not. Yeshua HaMashiach, the same yesterday, today, and forever, in whom there is no change nor shadow of shifting. Hebrews. They don't change. So if Yeshua was Yah made flesh, how could Yeshua's commands be different than Yah's commands? They're not, regardless of what a man behind a pulpit might teach. They're not different. If you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love. That seems super important if you're walking with Messiah, to stay in his love, guard his commands. And he just told you in Matthew 22:36, the greatest of these commands is love Yah with everything that you've got and love your neighbor as yourself. On this hangs all the Torah and the prophets. Because the Torah is all about how to love God with everything that you've got and how to love your neighbor as yourself. That's why he says, on this hangs all the Torah and the prophets. If you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commands and stay in his love. John 15. Back to Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 9. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, let them thoroughly glean as a vine the remnant of Israel. Pass your hand again over the branches like a grape gatherer. To whom shall I speak and give warning so that they hear? See, their ear is uncircumcised. Not set apart. They're not listening. And they are unable to listen. See, the word of Yahweh is a reproach to them, and they do not delight in it. Well, I know God said, but we don't do it that way. You do not delight in it. Therefore, I am filled with the wrath of Yahweh. I am thoroughly pissed off. I've become weary of containing it. I don't have the energy to contain my wrath any longer. Pour it out on the children outside and on the company of young men together. For even husband and wife shall be taken, the aged and the very old, and their houses shall be turned over to others, fields and wives together. For I shall stretch out my hand against the inhabitants of the land, declares Yahweh. So, the children of Benjamin are told to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is fixing to get it. Why? Because they're not obeying the Father's commands. And so then Jeremiah is told, thus said Yahweh of hosts, let them thoroughly glean as a vine the remnant of Israel. Pass your hand over again the branches like a grape gatherer. Get everybody out who needs to get out because I'm going to jack this place up. Sounds a lot like Sodom and Gomorrah, doesn't it? And their houses shall be turned over to others, fields and wives together, for I shall stretch out my hand against the inhabitants of the land, declares Yahweh. So if we look in the book of Romans 11, by the hand of Shaul of Tarsus, the Apostle Paul. Verse 16, now if the first fruit is set apart, house of Judah, house of Israel, the lump also. And if the root is set apart, Israel, Yisrael, so are the branches, you, Gentile believer in Messiah. And if some of the branches were broken off, these disobedient believers in Yah, if some of the branches were broken off, and you, being a wild olive tree, have been grafted in among them, and came to share the root and fatness of the olive tree, the branch doesn't tell the root what to do. The branch feeds off the root. Do not boast against the branches. Don't think that just because you're a believer in Messiah, that you have anything to say against those who have been walking with the Father since the dawn of time. Do not boast against the branches. And if you boast, remember, you do not bear the root, but the root bears you. But Paul said, you do not bear the root, but the root bears you. You shall say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Good. By unbelief they were broken off. And let's just look at biblically here what unbelief is. By unbelief they were broken off. What does it say in Jeremiah chapter 6 verse 19? And I know we are getting there. Hear, O earth, see I am bringing evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not listened to my words, nor my Torah, they have rejected it. By unbelief they were broken off. And you stand by belief. If you love me, keep my commands, even as I have kept my Father's commands. Do not be arrogant, but fear. For if Elohim did not spare the natural branches, he might not spare you either. Well, I'm grafted in. Act like it. The branch does not bear the root. The root bears the branch. 6:13, Jeremiah. For from the least of them, even to the greatest of them, they are all greedy for gain. And from the prophet even to the priest, all act falsely. And they heal the breach of my people slightly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. Were they ashamed when they had done abomination? No. They were not at all ashamed, nor did they know how to blush. Therefore they shall fall among those who fall, and they shall stumble at the time I visit them, said Yahweh. Were they ashamed when they had done abomination, bowed down to false idols, kept non-biblical holidays, eaten swine, engaged in sexual acts that are clearly prohibited? Were they ashamed when they had done abomination? No, they were not at all ashamed. They didn't even know how to blush. Therefore, they shall fall among those who fall, and they shall stumble at the time I visit them, said Yahweh. That sounds a lot like Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. Yeshua speaking. Not everyone who says to me, to Yeshua, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of heavens, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the heavens. If you love me, keep my commands as I have kept my Father's commands. And many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and done many mighty works in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. This is Yeshua. This is Jesus speaking. And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. You who work lawlessness? If you love me, keep my commands as I have kept my Father's commands. By the way, all of these cross-references, New Testament. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them, because the Torah is something you do, shall be like a wise man who built his house upon the rock. Jesus is a maraca. Act like it. And does them. Were they ashamed when they had done abomination? No. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. They were not at all ashamed, nor did they know how to blush. Therefore, they shall fall among those who fall. They shall stumble at the time that I visit them, said Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah, stand in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest for yourselves. What did Yeshua say? I come to give you rest. What is the rest? To stand in the ways and see, and to ask for the old paths, where the good way is, and walk in it, and do it. Be not just hearers of the word, but doers also, and find rest for yourselves. But they said, we do not walk in it. We don't have to do that. That was nailed to the cross. That's for the Jews. That's Old Testament. That's works-based theology. The church has replaced Israel. But they said, we do not walk in it. And I, Yahweh, raised up watchmen over you and said, listen to this voice of a shofar. But they said, we do not listen. Therefore hear, you nations, you wild olive trees grafted into the root of Israel. Therefore hear, you nations, and know, O congregation, what is upon them. Hear, O earth, see, I am bringing evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not listened to my words, nor my Torah, and they rejected it. What need have I of frankincense from Sheva, and sweet cane from a distant land? Your sending offerings are not acceptable, and your slaughterings have not been sweet to me. Therefore, thus said Yahweh, see, I am laying stumbling blocks before this people, and the fathers and the sons together shall stumble on them. The neighbor and his friends shall perish. He would rather have your obedience than your burnt offerings. He would rather have your obedience than your worship and praise on Sunday morning. Thus said Yahweh, see, a people shall come from the land of the north, and a great nation is stirred up from the farthest parts of the earth. They strengthen their bow and spear. They are cruel and have no compassion. Their voice roars like the sea, and they ride on horses, set in array as a man for battle against you, O daughter of Zion. We have heard the report. Our hands grow weak. Distress has taken hold of us, pain as a woman in labor. Do not go out into the field, nor walk by the way, because of the sword of the enemy. Fear is on every side. O daughter of my people, gird on sackcloth and roll about in ashes. Make mourning as for an only son. most bitter lamentation, because suddenly the ravager shall come upon us. I have made you a trier and a stronghold among my people, so that you know, and shall try their way, shall prove them out. All of them are rebels of rebels, walking as slanderers. They are bronze and iron, all of them corrupters. The bellows have burned, the lead has been consumed by fire, the refiner has refined in vain, for those who are evil have not been separated. They shall call them rejected silver, because Yahweh has rejected them. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. I never knew you.